covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 11.
Tonight on WXII 12 News, the coal ash cleanup continues. Duke Energy's apology for the spill that's contaminating the Dan River. Plus, working overtime, state employees are working this weekend to catch up on a backlog of food stamp applications, how close they are to missing the deadline, and what's at stake. And a Memorial Monday march fills the streets of downtown Raleigh. But first, starting Monday, a major expansion of federal benefits for same-sex couples. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Veronica White. Attorney General Eric Holder will instruct Justice Department employees on Monday to give legal same-sex marriages full and equal recognition to the greatest extent possible under the law. The Attorney General's action is the latest application of last year's Supreme Court ruling that struck down the definition of marriage as union between a man and a woman. Holder made the announcement at the Human Rights Campaign Gala in New York City.
This means that in every courthouse, in every proceeding, and in every place where a member of the Department of Justice stands on behalf of the United States, they will strive to ensure that same-sex marriages receive the same privileges, the same protections, and the same rights as opposite-sex marriages under federal law.
Holder's news was greeted with great enthusiasm by the crowd, which frequently interrupted the Attorney General with applause and cheers. Well, thousands of people packed into the streets of downtown Raleigh this morning for a Memorial Monday march. Among the protesters were teachers who say that they have many issues with policies passed by the Republican-led General Assembly, including no raises, using public money to give school vouchers to private schools, and a law that offers contracts and bonuses to select teachers who give up their career status. Some say that it's forcing teachers out of North Carolina, and that's taking good teachers away from the state.
Education is definitely a priority because we see our students suffering every day.
And the event was organized by the North Carolina chapter of the NAACP and included supporters from dozens of states who marched for a number of different issues. Well, officials at the Department of Health and Human Services are now working overtime in order to meet a federal deadline. State and county workers are putting in extra hours to catch up on a backlog of food stamp applications. Only 13 counties remain with 10 or more pending applications, many of which are in Forsyth County. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture is giving the state until Monday to process applications and renewals. If not, North Carolina could face losing millions in federal funding. Well, a second set of test results show that the drinking water in Danville, Virginia is safe to drink. Over 80,000 tons of coal ash spilled into the Dan River last Sunday after a drainage pipe collapsed at a Duke Energy power plant in Eden. And Duke says that they are diverting the flow of coal ash from the river but cannot declare the spill fully contained. City leaders say that the Dan River is the community's #1 asset. Duke's president of operations for North Carolina apologized for the spill and says the utility is developing a long-term cleanup plan, whatever it takes to ensure the river's health in the future. Similar problems still linger in West Virginia 2 months after a chemical spill that tainted drinking water throughout the state. Protesters marched on the plant responsible for the spill today, demanding that they pay for everybody's water until they can be sure tap water is safe.
It's our water. It's our responsibility. We need to hold people accountable, and we're going to do that.
And many marchers sent the water company an invoice for bottled water and other costs. So far, West Virginia American Water has issued a $10.29 credit on their customers' bills. But marchers today say that wasn't enough. They say that they shouldn't have to pay anything until they're guaranteed the water is okay.
We're taking a look out there right now. You can see temperatures in the 30s and low 40s. We have 35 degrees in Martinsville. On our way to see more cloud cover through early morning. That's going to help us out by keeping temperatures at least in the 30s for most spots. In the high country, though, a threat of some 20s out there, plus a slight chance of a few flurries. We've got a couple of features here that are moving in to bring us a slight chance of snow for folks in the high country for the next couple of days. Maybe a passing sprinkle tomorrow through areas of Wilkesboro and Mount Airy early morning. Otherwise, what we're looking for, the clouds filling back in by Sunday night with a little bit of sunshine in the mix too. And then we talk about those snow chances. All of that, of course, coming up as we go through middle of the week. Wait till you see that 7-day forecast is coming up.
Well, with tens of thousands of customers still without power in Pennsylvania, the state's utility commission says it'll review their storm response. About 850,000 homes and businesses in Pennsylvania lost electricity when a winter storm coated trees and power lines with ice on Wednesday. Philadelphia was forced to call for help from utility crews as far as Canada. Thursday, the president declared Philadelphia and its 4 neighboring counties a disaster zone. Anti-government protesters say they will continue to camp in the Ukraine capital until President Viktor Yanukovych is removed from office. Ukraine's pro-Russian prime minister was removed from office last week to appease protesters. Since that move, Moscow has frozen its aid to Ukraine. Yanukovych and Russian leader Vladimir Putin held a one-on-one meeting in Sochi on Friday. Well, officials and activists say that a ceasefire was broken in the central Syrian city of Homs today. Attempts to evacuate the civilians and bring supplies into the rebel-held areas have been put on hold. The UN says that 83 women, children, and elderly residents were taken out of the city Friday. Government officials and opposition activists called for a 3-day truce to allow civilians to get out of the city and food to be shipped into the city. Today was the day 3 of the so-called Loud Music murder trial. Michael Dunn is charged in the shooting death of 17-year-old Jordan Davis at a Jacksonville, Florida gas station in 2012. Dunn's fiancée took the stand today and was questioned about what started the confrontation.
Could you hear the bass?
Yes.
Now, from inside the car, was anything in the car rattling from the bass?
No.
Did the defendant say anything about the music when he parked the car next to the red car?
Yes.
And what did the defendant say?
Oh, I hate that thug music.
Dunn then asked the group of teenagers in their car to turn down their music, and after a confrontation, Dunn says that he fired in self-defense because Davis threatened him and produced a weapon. Prosecutors say that no weapon was ever found. Looking ahead, the Davie County Sheriff's Office will be saying goodbye to their friend tomorrow. K-9 Officer Gorky will be honored during a memorial service. He was killed during a standoff. The Davie County Sheriff's Office says the suspect shot the dog. The service will begin at 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon at the Davie County High School. Greensboro police are looking for a man who fired several shots into a home this morning. Police say that 2 men got into a fight around 5:30 this morning outside a house on Marshall Street. Officers say one of the men left and came back about an hour later and fired 4 shots at the house. Police say that there were 3 people inside at the time, but no one was injured. Anyone with information should call Crime Stoppers at 373-1000. In Commitment 2014 news, 2 North Carolina congressmen are requesting the governor plan a special election to determine who will fill Mel Watt's 12th district seat in Washington. The 12th district covers part of the Piedmont down to Charlotte. G.K. Butterfield and David Price are asking for a special election on September 16th instead of the general election November 4th. Candidate filings will begin Monday, and Watt had resigned from his seat after being named as the head of a federal agency. Well, over 100 people gathered at the Gate City for a special ceremony to reopen the improved armory in Greensboro. The Joseph T. Carruthers Armory was dedicated today. The event showed the $4.4 million in upgrades paid for by state and federal dollars.
Recently, we had teams that were mobilized out of this facility in response to the winter storm that we had a couple of weeks ago. So we had soldiers who assembled here and departed with military vehicles to support the citizens of the state of North Carolina.
And officials say the upgrades and renovations to the 53-year-old armory will give the building more space and a better use of the energy within the facility.
We're taking a look right now out over areas of High Point, and certainly some clouds rolling in for us. We'll have more details coming up.